I'm going to just give you 2 or 3 minutes to do this because we're going to run out of time if I don't. I'd like you to review your map. I'd like you to actually sort of summarize in your own mind what you've learned for this. What do you need to know from me while I'm here now? I want you to find, what do you need to know which isn't already apparent that would actually help you motivate yourself more effectively? What do you now need to know? So I want you to look at what we've learned so far. And the final thing in doing that is this. This is a very scientific system. It's very, very accurate. It's a self-perception inventory. It gets the result. It's number-driven. It's got a language. It's got a metric. It does it all. But on page 15, there is something that's very not scientific. It's called a Cledon. And a Cledon is Greek, and a Cledon is something that happened in ancient Greece when you walk down the road, 2 old people, 2 old men, 2 old women were chatting in the courtyard or in an alleyway. They're going blah, 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 blah. And as you walk past them, suddenly one of them says to the other, de-dirt, 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 and you realise what they were saying applies to you. In other words, it was a message from the gods. There was a message from the gods. Now, the Cledon is a random from 100 quotations. It's a random quotation, a motivational quotation that comes from a database of 100 of them that has come out in your report. And the funny thing is, I'd like you to look at that and ask yourself, is that quotation speaking a message to you? And if you've got any doubt about it, check it with your partner next to you and say, hey, this is what I've got. I can't see how it applies to me. What do you think? You know about me. Ask the person next to you. Does this actually say anything? It's not just is that speaking to you? Have a look. Give you 3 minutes and I'm going to ask for some feedback on what you need, what isn't clear. Okay, gang. What isn't clear? What isn't clear? What do you need to ask me based on what you know so far? Because you know a lot already. You know a hell of a lot. What do you need to know based on what we've done? Anything? Yes? Right, okay. Okay, so tell me. So what's your name, sir? What's your name? Steve Wright. Aren't you a disc jockey? Okay, what are your top 3 motivators? See, he's asked me the question, what do I do? Well, I can't possibly know until I know what the motivators are. So what are your top 3 motivators? Creator. Number 1? Yeah, number 2? Ah, interesting. So you've got a kind of a relationship one built into the top 3, okay? So you need to satisfy all of those 3 things on an ongoing basis. But, you're 100% motivated, so we'd probably start at the top. So the number 1 thing for you in that instance would be your creator motivator. So we need for you to do a number of things. You need to plan for yourself a number of things that would actually meet the creator motivator. So actually, for example, if I were coaching you now, which I'm not, but if I were, I would actually be working with you on some innovative tools that enable you to creatively problem solve. Because creators love creative problem solving tools. So have you ever done things like 6 thinking hats and those kind of technologies where you actually have methodologies for solving difficult problems? You would love that. So I would actually arrange some training for you around, creative problem solving. Secondly, just so it's not theoretical, I would want to give you some really big problem that we've got that we need a solution to. So something that's got teeth to it, something that you could really show your skills and knowledge at the best, but you could be driven by your need to solve the problem. Thirdly, the thing about creator motivators is they love creative environments. So I'd want to look at where you're currently working. Is this a grey office space? We need light, we need colour, we need rhythm, we need music, we need creativity. We need to surround you with creative stuff, and it can be small things to start with, but we need creative stuff around you to remind you of it. The reason why so many factories are so dull and boring is because they look dull and boring, and people start adopting dull and boring stuff with that around them. Creators don't want that. They want actually a different kind of environment. So the environment for you is very, very important. Also, fourthly, because you are a creator, you like being in teams, particularly as a friend creator, you like being in teams where there's a kind of problem, but you're seen as being a key person in solving them. So working collaboratively with others to solve problems is very, very stimulating for you. So that is what I would try to line up over the next 6 to 12 months, a series of a program where that is very consciously being delivered for you. Great question. Give him a round of applause, and I've got my final book. Steve Wright, you're a great guy, and thanks for the music. I've loved it all those years. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move on. We've taken a question, and I'm going to run out of time, I think, before I've done. So I'd like, if we could have the handout of the team map, that would be really good. Thank you very much, because I'm not going to spend long on this. It's just briefly to tell you that, you know, each of those 9 types has got a core thing that it's looking for. This slide's available to all the managers if you want it. You can get that from Claire. But basically, this is the opportunity for the manager when you've got a member of staff who's got that motivator. And here's what you demand for yourself. But this leads on to, there is a team map, which you're not getting a copy of today, but your individual map is 15 pages long. Your team map for your branches is 22 pages long. And on page 22, I'm going to leave that, you get the real metrics. You get this. And I've done it 2 ways. I've done it by location, and I've also done it by function. So we'll come back to the function in a minute. Let's go to the locations first. So what you get is just a whole bunch of numbers. So you get this. I've done this now for the teams themselves. I've done an organizational map for the teams, but it's exactly the same. So you could have John, Susan, Frederick, Jemima, you know, all the names of your staff down here with the rank order of the team and their scores and other information, their 1, 2, 3 scores at the end of it. So what I've done this for now is actually just to show you how it looks, is for the teams themselves as they are on location around the country. So you can actually share, so I'm not sharing personal information, but I am sharing now what I call generic information around the teams. And you can see how fascinating this is. You can see, for example, that overall we're 77% motivated, a very, very high score. The RAG score is relationship 30, achievement 34, growth 36. So this is the company's tending, this group of people in this company are tending towards the blue rather than the red. They've got a change index score, which I'm not going to go into now, but basically above 50 means you are effective rather than efficient. So this is a group of people who like it to be effective rather than, say, efficiency. So that's actually, you're up for change, you like change. And then we come to the rank order. So when we look at it, and this is the people in this room, we look at the rank order and we say, number 1, every single team, is it 13 or 14 teams here, has got searcher. And the dark red is number 1, the orange is number 2. In fact, it's all 1 or 2. So, actual fact, massively, you are mission-led people, you are customer-centric people who want to make a profound difference. And this is the motivator beyond any other that we should be majoring on in terms of developing new people. Let's make a difference. Let's be the best. Let's be the benchmark for selling cars in the UK. Secondly, you want to be experts. Look at that. Only two teams, Birmingham and the online for conference, don't have expert. Some of this is third, the yellow, rather than the orange, but actually a huge number of these teams want expertise. So in making a difference for the customer, it's underpinned by the desire to learn stuff, to know the knowledge. And then thirdly, third place, the teams, and less so here, you've got more white patches, actually want defender, want security. And you have here a tension. You have a tension between making a difference and being secure. And furthermore, there's also another thing here. When you get expert defender together, a little warning shot for you, you get deep expertise, you get drilled down and actually, you know, real detail on the expertise, but the danger can be people get stuck in their ways because they think they know best. So a really interesting issue here is actually how innovative. We've got my friend Steve Wright, who loves change, but that is not the dominant thing of the teams overall. So that's a little interesting thing to watch out for. And then at the other end, we have, look at this. What a bunch of unfriendly gizzes you people are. I mean, I could barely step into the room. Now, let's be clear about this. One of the tables says, you know, friends Lois, I thought I was a friend person. And I says, but you are a lovely person. You have got friends. You've got all the skills. You've been on a Dale Carnegie course. You can listen effectively, but you don't come to work to make deep social relationships. And what we've got here is exactly that. In actual fact, we want to be friends with people because actually selling, it's better to be friends with people when you sell than not. To be friendly, open, accessible, to have those Dale Carnegie skills, good idea. But that's not why you're working. And in fact, for most of the teams, this is the lowest thing. But look at, what is the most astonishing thing about that? What is the most astonishing thing about this 13 or 14 teams here at Motorpoint? What fact jumps out at me? You'll get used to it when you've seen a few of these. The director is, that's second most, yeah, but look at that. So we've got 1, 2, 3 teams. The online conferencing team, bizarrely, wants control. The A4C managers, actually their lowest motivator, look at that. So they don't want to manage. But there's something more striking than that. I'd love to give you a book, I've run out. Give a round of applause to that guy. There, in fact, no team here has got builder in the top 3. That staggers me. And do you know what? You know, so many people here would say, I'm in it for the money, I'm doing it for the money. You're not. You're not doing it for the money. But actually, here's the interesting thing. Because when you say, what's the purpose of a company? Most people say to make a profit. It's not the central purpose. The central purpose of a company is to attract and retain a customer. And if we can do enough of that, the byproduct will be we make a big profit. And I think that's exactly what here at Motorpoint you're doing. You're actually focusing on the customer, focusing on the quality experience, and then the profit follows from that. It's really interesting that it's such a sales-orientated company, none of the teams are really that motivated by it. Now, we need to add a rider. Of course, everybody wants a living wage. And of course, at the bottom end with some of your staff, we talked about the minimum wage this morning, going up to $7.50 an hour, etc. Clearly, surviving is very, very important. So what Mark said about letting people at the bottom end know that the company is doing all it can to promote their life chances, to go to any kind of area with training, to actually increase their basic rate above 30% over a 3-year period, all of that is absolutely central. Because when you're in a need situation, it's going to overrule. If you're actually struggling to survive, then what you want is incidental. Everyone in this room is not struggling to survive. You all are doing what you want. That's why these motivators are so powerful. But at the very bottom end, where people are not earning very much, you'll find they're not wanting things, they've just got to survive. So money can be out of all proportion to their real wants, what they really want. It's actually because they've got to have the money. So we've got to get the message across about what Motorpoint is doing for them, even more forcefully. But that is a staggering kind of interesting thing there. A very staggering kind of thing. And you'll notice the difficult people, there are 3 difficult teams. The most difficult being, oh dear, it's the directors. They actually aren't that bothered by managing you. They just want to wander off and do their own thing. Don't tell them what to do. Oh dear, what a surprise. So, you know, this is really interesting. So we need to look at the directors, because the directors too need to be motivated. You know, after Mark gave a sterling talk this morning, I was really impressed by it. I actually thought he was doing me out of a job. Is that bad? You know, don't need me to talk. This guy's got it all sussed. But look at them. So what are they looking for? Independence. They're looking for making the difference. They're looking for expertise. So they love training. They want feedback. And they want to be left alone so they're not micromanaged. So they don't like needy behaviour. They don't like people that can't solve their own problems. They have to keep coming back and again and again and again. It's going to really hack them off. If you keep on thinking, oh, Mark, could you just, oh, Mark, oh, I've got this, Mark, you know, they'll train you once, they'll support you once, they might come in twice, but when you start getting every time you're doing it, I can tell you now, not because he's told me that, I hardly know the guy, but that, look at it. He wants independence. He wants to get on with the next vision. In fact, the number one thing for this team, the director team, is vision, because that's what spirits love. So if we now move to the functions team, we see something very, very similar. The scores are largely the same because, of course, it's basically the same people, but cut a different way. There are 1 or 2 extra people that have come in. But you'll see the same. But you'll see differences. You'll see, for example, though Friends still remains lowest, in this instance, with the function teams, no team particularly has it as lowest. It's quite different from how it appears geographically. You'll see again searcher there, you'll see again expert, but this time you'll see by function, creator has notched up a little bit and actually director's dropped down. So a little bit more innovation coming up there in that sense. So slightly different. So again, friends, what I'm saying to you is this map, I'm skirting the surface here, is giving you really detailed information, really detailed metrics. It's like a video, it's changing over time, but we can track what the teams are feeling, what the individuals are feeling, what they want, and what we've got to do as managers is we've got to feed them. We've got to feed them what they want. Now, I'm running out of time. I've already jumped over 2 or 3 activities which we're not going to do. It's not an accident. It's not because I can't control my time. I always prepare far too much in order to hope you're wanting more, because it's just a starting point for you. There's one last thing that you do have to do, I think, before we leave. On page, oh no, not that one. On page 14 of your map, there is a map, an MAP, a motivational action plan. So I'd like to spend 3 minutes at the end now with you, every one of you, committing to writing down your action plan for the next 6 months as to what you're going to do to sustain your motivations. And if you can think of it, what you might do back at the ranch, back at the location, for your teams. You know, what's going to happen? And if it's actually find out more information, that's something you need to do. Find out more, get more support, talk to Claire. What are you going to do that's going to actually help drive your own motivation? Take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for it, because I tell you now, it feels so good. When I was in that hospital ward for 3 months, nearly dying of cancer, and I came that close to death, you know, the doctors and the nurses were pretty amazed by me, amazed I got out, amazed I got out so quickly, and because I was so motivated to do it. And it's not something I hyped myself into. It's not something I pretended. It's because I actually genuinely fed my motivators. And my wife came in and helped me feed the motivators to get the energy to get out, to come back. I know how good it feels. You feel it when you're in the zone on the roll. 3 minutes.